Hit start. Yes. Yes, I did. Hello, my feral friends. My name is Panthera, and I'm the Feralwood Witch. Welcome back to my channel, where we learn how to reconnect to our inner wilds through witchcraft and natural living. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the step-by-step process on how to make your own motivational shaker spell jar. Let's get to it. This simple spell is a great option if you're having trouble staying motivated, if you're struggling to get things done, if you can't focus on a single task, or like me, procrastinating. The idea for the jar is that when you're feeling your attention start to waver, when you need that little kick in the booty, so to speak, you just give it a quick shake, and that gives you the energetic boost that you need to get things done. Quick disclaimer here, remember that Spellwork is completely customizable and flexible to your intent. You don't have to use every single ingredient that I have here, and in fact, many of them can be replaced with things found in your own kitchen cabinet. You're just looking for herbs or crystals that have correspondences to that which you're trying to manifest inside the jar. In particular, this spell is focusing on things that correspond with motivation, focus, boosting energy, reducing fatigue, and building willpower. I've added a couple elements that help boost working towards wealth-based goals or finances, prosperity, and things like that, because my shaker jar is specifically for my work that I do on a daily basis. However, you could twist it once again to give you motivation for doing things such as housework, chores, giving you more energy for social engagements, and even remembering and prioritizing self-care. The options are literally endless. Another small disclaimer, I'm also a big fan of candle magic, so many of my spells involve candle magic in some way, shape, or form. I feel like it kind of kicks off the spell. It gives it that first energetic boost to really get it started in a positive way. I also just really like fire. But if you don't like burning candles, or if you can't for whatever reason, there are lots of other alternatives for you to kind of get a similar effect with your spells. Try using an electronic candle, or anoint your jar with either an oil or moon water that's charged with your intent. Once again, you're only limited by your creativity here. All right, let's get to the real spell. Take it over, voiceover Panthera. Yeah.
Thank you, past Panthera. So to get started, you're gonna need a heat-proof plate, your incense holder of choice, your incense of choice for cleansing and setting the mood, a red candle, or whatever color corresponds with your intent, matches or a lighter, a small candle holder to hold the candle while it burns. You could also use your heat-safe plate, your jar of choice, an oil to coat the candle. This is a prosperity oil that I'm using. I like to use clear quartz in all my spells. Cinnamon sticks, these have been crushed to fit in my jar. Tiger's eye crystal. Green Aventurine crystal. Clear quartz crystal. And amazonite crystal. I'm also using some ground coffee, some rosemary, some peppermint, oregano, sage, ginger, cayenne pepper, ground cinnamon. I don't have fancy jars for these guys. And some crushed red pepper. And like I said before, don't be concerned if you don't have the same exact materials that I do. And now for the actual spell. We're going to start by lighting our incense, or you can use whatever cleansing tool of your choice. And we're going to start cleansing all of our tools. I just love how smoke fills jars. It's so cool. And we're doing this just so that everything has a nice blank, clean slate to get started with. We don't want any negative energies that might have been picked up along the way on any of our tools or materials. Cleansing your herbs is kind of optional. I like to, because I like to then recharge with my exact intent, but it does kind of already have the correspondence. So that step is optional. All right, now we set the mood. So I'm going to start by inscribing some symbols on my candle. Here I'm showing you just the symbols for air and fire, as that is mostly what I'm working with when wanting motivation. But you can inscribe any sort of personal sigils or symbols that mean motivation to you. You could even do a petition on the candle if you'd like. Now we're going to prepare our candle for dressing. Place your ground cinnamon on your plate and then coat your candle in your oil of choice. Again, I'm using my prosperity oil, but you could just use plain olive oil, charged moon water, pretty much anything that you'd like. Just make sure you coat that candle real good so that the cinnamon will stick to it. You can tell this candle's cheap by how much red is on my hands. And then just roll it real good in that cinnamon. Get it nice and coated. It should stick from the oil. And of course, remember to clean up your hands afterwards. Now, let's light this baby. Get your candle holder of choice, or you can use that heat-safe plate again. I'm going to use it kind of to hold my loose materials in the meantime. A quick trick is to melt the bottom of your candle to make it stick better to whatever surface you're sticking it to. I have my little chime candle holder here, and there it is, nice and in place. And when you're ready, light her up. And now it's jar time, so let's get started. Get your jar of choice, and then I have a little funnel here to help me fill this small jar. And first, our base is going to be our coffee. Now, arguably, the most important step of this whole process is charging the materials with your intent. So you can see I just charged our coffee with the intent of energy and productivity, and now I'm placing it inside the jar. Making a little bit of a mess as we go. What's new though? And don't worry, all waste is going straight to the compost after the spell. Now we're going to start with our rosemary, which is being charged for improved cognition. And then our peppermint for increased energy and reducing fatigue. The actual charging process is getting sped up or clipped, just so you know. Next is our ginger for success and power. And then our oregano for energy boosting and reducing fatigue as well. Now our sage for improving mood and attention. Now we have our cayenne pepper for a little extra kick, some quick motivation. I like to add fire correspondences to help boost myself energetically, to help get things done. And now some red pepper. This is also to add a little extra kick, a little oomph, and help speed up the spell. And that's it for our loose ingredients. So we're gonna go ahead and knock the remnants into the jar. Look at all those beautiful little herbs. And now for our cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon is for mental focus, courage, success, and power. If it doesn't fit at first, just jam it in there. And now for our crystals. We're starting with our amazonite, charged for focus. Next up is our clear quartz. Clear quartz can be used in place of any crystal. I'm using it specifically to help boost the spell overall. And for my personal favorite, tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is great for willpower as well as focus. This is also a great stone for courage if you find yourself too afraid to start a project. Now the green Aventurine is specifically for wealth-based goals. So this one is being charged for opportunity and growth. Get in there. That's a good click-clack if you ask me. Now it's time to cork that bottle. Look how pretty. Click clack makes brain go brr. And now it's time for my personal favorite part of the project, sealing your bottle. This is kind of optional. If you're doing candle magic, I highly recommend just because it looks freaking cool. But you don't have to seal your bottle if you don't want to. And in fact, pretty much any sort of ribbon or ties to seal your jar shut will work as well if you can't do candle magic where you are. So I'm just using the flame itself to heat up the wax on the candle and then to drip said wax onto the jar itself. Now be very careful. This is why we're using our heat safe plate. Let's speed this up a bit, shall we? Now let's be careful when putting our candle back in its holder. Don't do like I did and grab the jar before the wax is completely dry. It shouldn't be too hot at this point, but still, don't be dumb like me. And I'm just placing my clear quartz here to kind of just help boost the working overall. Now we just have to wait. You should always wait until your candle burns down entirely before leaving the room. If you have to go anywhere, just blow out your candle or use a candle snifter, whatever they're called. Look at that beautiful wax. And that's it. Our spell is complete.
And now you should have your own little motivation shaker jar. I've been keeping mine at my workspace and just giving it a shake anytime I notice my attention drifting or if I'm stuck in the endless scroll of social media. Giving it a shake just kind of helps me return to earth, so to speak, and helps me refocus on that which I need to be focusing on. It reminds me of my priorities, my goals, and why I want to do the work that I do. I would recommend keeping it near wherever you do the most work. So whether that's at home next to your computer monitor like me, or if it's at work on your desk maybe in a nice little corner where it's not too much in the way but where you won't forget about it. You could even keep it in the pocket of your workplace uniform or in your car if you often work in your vehicle. Wherever. There are no limits. And its small size, depending on the jar that you use, helps keep it inconspicuous. You can kind of store it wherever you want. Dog hair. without it being too much in the way. But even though it's small and you can stash it kind of anywhere, I would make sure that it's in a place that you're not gonna forget about it. Somewhere that you see frequently, or perhaps maybe a drawer that you often open while you're working. So how do you upkeep this spell? Sometimes with spell workings, you have to do a little follow-up every now and then just to keep the energy flowing, to make sure it's nice and fresh and effective. This isn't always necessary, but you might start to feel the effects fading after a certain amount of time from the spell. I notice this very, very frequently with my money bowl workings and my protection. I'm not sure exactly yet how often I might have to refresh this one, but it's good to keep it in mind. Sometimes a spell just needs a little freshen up, a little reinvigoration to make sure it's staying effective as possible. As I am once again a great fan of candle magic, I often use candle magic to help re-up my spells, to help upkeep them and make sure that they're working as they're intended. So just like you guys saw me do for the entire spell itself, I'll often repeat just the candle process while keeping the jar nearby. And for a bottle like this too, I might actually re-drip fresh wax from the new candles onto the jar itself. Add some like new energy to the jar. If candle magic isn't your thing, you could re-anoint the jar with a little bit of oil, maybe some moon water that you've charged specifically for this purpose. You can also let it sit on your altar during times that associate or are correspondent with the workings that are in your jar, or when you're performing other workings that are also correspondent or similar to what's in your jar. How often you might need to upkeep the spell itself depends a lot on how much you are using the spell, where it's kept and things like that. Like for example, if I lose my motivation jar and while it's lost, I find myself having difficulty with this problem again, once I re-find the item, I would want to redo the spell itself. Like for example, if I lost my motivation jar and found myself slipping back into those self-sabotaging procrastination tendencies, when I rediscover it, it might need a little pick-me-up to get rolling again. It's essentially been buried and forgotten. It might be dusty. The energy itself is stagnant. Or even worse, it's been picking up on those negative energies that you've been exuding in its presence, if that makes sense. And this might cause it to not work as intended anymore. I also find that re-performing or upkeeping spells with these kinds of themes can help you kind of refocus your goals. You're putting that energy out into the world and therefore manifesting more of that energy into your life. So the next time that you notice yourself slipping, becoming less motivated, getting close to that creative burnout, do a re-up of the whole spell. Just refocus on those goals and those priorities that have you working towards things in the first place. Let the universe know that you want this. You want this positive change in your life. And you'll begin to manifest that intent, whether consciously or subconsciously. And that's all for today, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this new kind of content on my channel, and let me know what kind of spell you'd like to see next. Also, if you decide to make your own motivation shaker jar, share it on social media using the hashtag #FeralwoodCoven, because I'd love to see it. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay wild. Hello. Sweet poo-poo. What are you doing? What do you want from me? You've had all morning to play and hang out, and now you want my attention.